So I'm hopping on here again just to speak on something very important, as I'm going to keep this very important topic going about children's safety. Now, if you guys do hear the fan, this small little fan that I have right here that's blowing on me because I am very hot, please forgive me in advance. Let me go ahead and hold this phone to where it's not shaking so much, because I don't want y'all thinking that I'm having a panic attack just to, be a little funny. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get into today's topic. So, I forget the person's name of the channel that I watched this video on, but I will definitely leave the link to the video in the comment section. And I'll also tag them because I'm doing a reaction video, just so that a lot of y'all can, be aware that me expressing my feedback in this video is not based off of a personal experience like the other video was about what happened to my son while we were on our way to a public library. And, because I don't want other content creators to, feel like I'm trying to take credit for the work that they put together to touch on certain topics. But anyway, so let's get into it. So I watched this video on another content creator's channel about a 3-year-old boy whose nails were painted pink at a daycare center. Now, first things first, I don't agree with that as a parent, because at the end of the day, boys and girls are different from each other. It doesn't matter what society tries to, subconsciously force this false idea that boys can be girls and girls can be boys, and that boys can do girl things and that girls can do boy things. Not true at all. Don't agree with it. It's not true. It's a lie, and it also causes confusion amongst our children, because at the end of the day, boys and girls are different. They need to know that. As long as this inevitable fact is expressed to them on the level that they can understand, since they are still small, right? But that's besides the point. So basically, the video that this other content creator was replaying on his channel and doing a reaction to, the conversation started off all over on the phone between the 3-year-old's grandmother and between the director of this daycare center. I'm so hot, y'all. Please bear with me, okay? So the grandmother of the 3-year-old that got his nails painted pink, she recorded the conversation. Now, I don't know exactly when the conversation started. All I just know is what the content creator showed. So, but from what he showed, the grandmother did not come into the conversation aggressive at all. I could tell that the grandmother was very upset, and she had every right to be highly upset because that's her grandson and he's 3 years old. So why are you painting a 3-year-old boy's nails pink? Why are you painting his nails, period, as if he is a girl at a daycare center? What kind of activity? One second, guys, because that's my son. Yes? I don't think it's a dragonfly, baby, okay? But go ahead and finish, okay? Go ahead and finish. Go ahead. Marcel, baby. Marcel, please give me a second, okay? And I can't say too much on here within this moment, okay? Because I'm trying to keep things respectful, and I'm trying to respect your privacy, okay? So can you please just listen to mama, please? Sorry, you guys. But like I was saying, I got a backtrack. Okay, so like I was saying, I could tell that the grandmother was highly upset about her 3-year-old's grandson nails being painted pink at a daycare center, which I absolutely 100% agree with her frustration. Why? Because she had what you call righteous anger, because what happened to her grandson, it was inappropriate. What kind of a activity is that? A part of a daycare center, a center that is supposed to help children grow academically, a center that is supposed to make children's safety number one, not grooming people's children. Because I'm going to call it for what it is, and if anybody disagree with me, that's fine. I honestly do not care, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to what is right and what is wrong, I'm going to speak up, especially because a lot of our children are being targeted the most. So I'm going to say what's factual. So the staff member that painted this 3-year-old boy's nails pink, that is what you call grooming. That's grooming. Why? Because again, that is an activity that's for girls, not for boys. Boys and girls are different from each other. It's an inevitable fact. Why do you think when you go to Walmart and you go to the boys section and the girls section, their clothes don't look the same? Obviously, because boys and girls are not the same. Boys and girls do not even have the same body parts. Okay, if you want to get a little bit more technical. So we cannot allow the world to brainwash our children. That is when the righteous anger is valid. With that being said, the grandmother had every right to be highly upset about what happened to her 3-year-old grandson. And so as the grandmother was bringing to the director of the daycare center's attention about her 3-year-old grandson nails being painted pink, when she got to the part about how it wasn't okay for the staff member that did it, because the daycare center did not get written consent from his mother to do that, that is when the director of the daycare center got real hostile with the grandmother and she started yelling. Then, in natural response, the grandmother started to raise her voice. Because now the grandmother feels like, okay, well, since you're coming at me in a hostile way, I'm going to naturally react that way. And so once the grandmother started to react in the same way that the director began to get hostile with her and was telling the director that she wasn't finished talking, because the director did cut the grandmother off, which that was rude. But it's the reason why she did that, though. She did that. She came at the grandmother in a hostile way, and she was cutting her off because she started to feel uncomfortable by the truth behind what the grandmother was saying, especially when the grandmother mentioned that it wasn't okay for the staff member to polish her grandson's nails because the daycare center did not get written consent from his mother to do that. And that wasn't okay. And she was right for saying that. But that being said, The director did not have any right to get hostile with the grandmother because what the grandmother was saying was right. But she knew that that situation with the staff member polishing that three-year-old boy's nails without his parents' consent was wrong. She knew that. And so she went into defense mode instead of actually doing the right thing and the responsible thing as an adult and actually backing up the child. Because at the end of the day, this is not about the staff members. This is about the child. That should have been the director's focus. It's on the child. And so, as the grandmother started to correct the director for getting out of character with her and getting disrespectful and hostile with her because she couldn't handle the truth, and she even went so far as to curse the grandmother out. And that's when the grandmother really went in, and the grandmother, she did not let up. She stood her ground, and she continued to let the director know that at the end of the day, regardless of what the staff member thought of as being harmless at the time, and even though the staff member got the child's permission, the staff member did not get his parents' permission. And that y'all can actually get in trouble for this because of the fact that y'all did not get written consent from his parents to polish his nails. He's 3 years old. And that's not okay. And she stood her ground. And the director didn't like that at all. She did not like that. But she knew deep down that everything that the grandmother was saying was right. But see, the thing is, a lot of people so ran by society. Thing is, society does not hold women accountable at all for when they do something that's not okay. That's the reason why a lot of women, no matter what setting it is, no matter what setting they're in, they think that they can do whatever they want to whomever they want and not suffer the consequences for it. And they think that they can run whenever they have somebody that actually does have a moral compass, that have good morals, that live on principles, and respectfully brings to their attention that, hey, what happened to my child, what you allowed to happen with my child was not okay. Then that's when they want to go into defense mode and get hostile as if the parent is in the wrong or the grandmother is in the wrong. No. She was absolutely 100% correct. With that being said, because of the fact that the staff members at this daycare center did not get written consent from this little boy's parents, yes, they can definitely get in trouble for that. Because at the end of the day, he's 3. He's 3, he's pure, he's innocent, and he does not know. He does not understand that boys and girls are different from each other. There are certain things that are for girls and there are certain things for boys. He does not understand the difference between the two. So by them painting his nails pink, it don't matter if it was blue, black, or green. That's for girls. And he needs to know the difference. But at the end of the day, listen, I'm not here to tell parents how to be parents. Excuse me. And I'm not here to tell people who run daycare centers how to run daycare centers. But I will say this though. It is about respect and boundaries. We have to agree on that. Respect and boundaries. With that being said, it is not okay for staff members to paint a boy's nails, and that is not your son. That's where you cross the line, because he's not your son. So what the staff member should have did was, the staff member should have reached out to the parents, because I'm sure that the staff members have the parents' numbers. So it wouldn't have hurt to shoot a text or a call to get the parents' permission to do that. So it's all about the principle of the matter. And at the end of the day, the staff member at that daycare center was wrong, was 100% wrong. I stand up for what's right. And at the end of the day, I have righteous anger the same way that the grandmother had righteous anger for the fact that the staff at the daycare center should have asked the little boy's parents for their permission first to paint his nails. Even though I don't agree with it, still, it's all about the principle. You ask first. Don't ask the child. But see, peep this though. The staff member asks the child because the staff member understands that the child don't know no better. The child is not old enough, not mature enough to make wise decisions. To make decisions for himself, period. But see, the parents, they're able to read between the lines. They're able to see the fine print of the situation. I'm not slow by a long shot at all, and I'm not going to spare nobody that will do something that is inappropriate, but they do it in a subtle way to try to make it seem like that is harmless, because that is exactly how a lot of people in the world move. And that's the number one reason why we have to make children's safety our number one priority. With that being said, the director and the staff member and the owner of that daycare center should be held accountable. They should be held accountable for that. Because it should be understood without question that when it comes down to certain situations like that, you should definitely ask a parent's permission to do something like that. For the simple fact that he's a boy. Why are you trying to paint a boy's nails anyways? Why are you trying to do that? Why? How is painting a 3-year-old boy's nails pink going to help him academically? How is that going to help him with his brain development, with his memorization of his letters and his numbers? Subjects that are actually going to help develop his cognitive skills and his memory. You already have a playground outside where he can engage in fun activities on swings and slides. So to say that you thought that it was just, you was trying to make every kid happy and, I just thought it would have made him happy just like the other kids, and also other parents didn't mind it. Okay, well, listen. That's other parents. We're not talking about other parents, because the director did mention that. We're not talking. It's not about the other parents. You cannot put every parent in the same group. And we weren't talking about other parents. But see, the thing is, the director mentioned that to the grandmother because she was trying to deflect. See, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call it out for what it is. She was trying to deflect and run from accountability from mishandling that situation and not handling that situation in the proper way, which is to ask that 3-year-old boy's parents for their permission to paint his nails. Who cares about the other parents not minding? That's them. But his parents minded. They didn't want his nails to be painted. And to be honest with you, it's not even, the parents were more upset about the fact that they didn't even ask. And rightfully so. That's just like how I was very upset when an older man just came out of nowhere after me and my son got off the bus. And he just approached us, didn't speak to me or nothing. He just went straight to my child and started touching him on his head, all aggressive like, and trying to be friendly with him. That was very inappropriate. You don't do that. Then these are grown-ups. Listen, these are grown-ups that should know better. But see, the thing is, we gotta watch a lot of these grown-ups in these daycare centers, these schools, in public places, period. Even in neighborhoods, even in family. Gotta watch these grown-ups. Because they'll go to the children before they go to the parents. I see that. Because they know that children, they're easy to manipulate. People know that. Grown-ups know that. That children are easy to manipulate. So because children are easy to manipulate, they're easy to groom. They're easy to prey on. So I say this to say, I 100% agreed with the grandmother and the mother and the father having righteous anger. Absolutely. Absolutely. Even Christ was turning tables in the temple. When they had men that came in the temple and they turned the temple, which was supposed to be a holy place to worship God in, they turned the temple into a marketplace. And Christ didn't waste no time. He didn't waste no time. He flipped the tables. That's exactly what God's word said. Christ flipped those tables. And he drove all of the men that were selling things. Not only were they selling things in the temple, they were also cheating people out of their money. So they were scamming. So basically, not only were these men making the temple where God is supposed to dwell in, where you're supposed to worship God in, not only did they make it unclean by selling in the temple, they also were scamming people, which was dishonest. And Christ flipped those tables and he drove them out. Because he had righteous anger for the right thing. That's why. That's why. Because that was inappropriate for those men to do that. You don't bring a place of worship to the marketplace. You don't do that. You don't bring God to the marketplace. Because God said you receive free, give free. I'm just using this as an example to relate to, this topic that we're talking about. Also, it's wrong to scam people. Because it's the same as lying. It's the same as stealing. It's the same as stealing. And that's basically what those men were doing too. Stealing from people that worked hard for their money in God's house. So I'm saying this to say, the same way that Christ had righteous anger in that situation to drive out dishonest, scamming men out of that temple, that is the same way that us parents have to be with our children when our children are being exposed to inappropriate things done by grown-ups that are supposed to know better. It's definitely 100% valid for us to have righteous anger in a situation like that. We have to protect our children from this world in every setting. We cannot be too trusting of daycare centers, schools, grocery stores. Even when we're just out and about, we cannot be too trusting. It doesn't matter how many years a daycare worker has been working with children. Doesn't matter. We still cannot be too trusting. And we cannot be afraid to stand up for what is right. So when we see something that is not appropriate for grown-ups to do with children, even if it's just painting a boy's nails, okay? We have to be willing to do what's right by our children, because it's our job as parents to educate our children on the truth about things. Because see, the world is going to lie to our children. The world is going to purposely expose our children to things that are not appropriate and have our children living in confusion, living in chaos, and living in dysfunction. Thereby, that is unhealthy for our children. With that being said, I would definitely continue to do more videos like this, because as a parent, children's safety is number one. And for those that are naysayers and don't agree, that's fine. This video is not for you. This video is for people who care about doing the right thing, who care about having good morals, who care about living on principle, who care about doing the right thing by children, keeping children pure. How do we keep children pure? By teaching them the truth about things. Of course, within boundaries, in a respectful way, and according to their level of understanding, depending on their age. But we still have a duty to raise our children on the truth about things, because the world will lie to them. It's very dangerous for us as parents to allow the world to raise our kids. It's not their job to raise our kids. And it's dangerous for us to allow the world to groom our children into things that will actually prevent them from growing into functional, healthy, respectful, responsible, and productive young adults. So that's all I have to say about this topic. Y'all will definitely see more of these videos about children's safety, which is number one.